Forget what you know about Mexico. This city is not spring break Cancun or a resort town full of margarita tourists. Merida, Mexico's safest city, is an affordable expat hotspot that lets you live better for less than half what you would spend in the US. Here, in the Yucatan's capital, you get quality healthcare, US conveniences, and cultural richnesses that put most American cities to shame. And today, I'm breaking down the 10 reasons smart expats are choosing Merida. So stick around for reason number 7, which is the main thing that convinced me to live here. And hint, it's not the $1 tacos or the nearly 300 days of sunshine. Hey expats, I'm Marco Sison with Nomadic Fire with another fact-filled video guide to living your best life abroad. We bring you the best updated intelligence on expat life in different cities and countries overseas. With us, you get the unique perspective of having one source to compare, contrast, and catch life in the best retirement hotspots around the world. It's no secret that most Americans don't have enough money saved for retirement, and it's completely understandable. With rising rents and crazy inflation, most Americans think they need well over $1 million to retire. But the fact is, less than 5% of Americans have that magical $1 million saved for retirement. The median, it's only a shocking 200 grand. Even worse, $1 million may not even be enough. Depending on the state you live in the US, that may only cover up to 7 years of expenses. Now, why am I telling you all this? Well, what if I told you that your retirement savings could last over 3 times longer in Merida? And I'm not exaggerating. When the average cost of living in a mid-sized city in the US tops $5,000, my total monthly expenses in Merida were roughly $1,500. And that includes housing, utilities, food, entertainment, even an occasional weekend trip to the beach. You can get my complete breakdown of my monthly budget in my previous Merida cost of living video. There's a link right there. Now, I'm going to caveat by saying that inflation is a global issue. And of course, prices are rising as more expats discover Merida. Housing prices here saw a nearly 10% increase last year. But even with the city's increasing popularity and the rising prices, Merida still offers a stunningly low cost of living compared to most US cities. Housing costs in Merida are particularly eye-popping. The rental market offers excellent options at various price points. You can find a cozy city center studio apartment for around $400 to $600 monthly, like this one, and it includes air conditioning, fast Wi-Fi, a pool, and a kitchen. A one-bedroom, well, that usually runs between $700 and $850. I stayed at a great 2-room shared villa for less than $700, including utilities, Wi-Fi, and even weekly cleaning. Plus, I had 2 spacious rooms and a king-size bed and an office space. But if you're looking for more space, here's an example of a 2-story, 2-bedroom house with a massive kitchen and these gorgeous tall glass doors that open right out to the garden and a pool. And that's an example of what you can find for roughly $1,400 to $1,600 in the north part of Centro. If you're considering buying, modern 2-bedroom, 2-bath homes near the city center run around $250 to $350,000 USD. However, in Mexico, I typically rent over buy. Check out my video explaining why renting just makes better financial sense here. Beyond housing, everyday expenses in Merida let your savings go much further. And you can find street tacos here for like $1, while sit-down restaurants only average around $5 to $20 per meal. And here's your first insider tip. For the best authentic and cheap Mexican eats, check out local fondos or cocina económicas. My favorite here is the El Marlin Azul. It's a traditional seafood joint, and it serves up hefty servings of fish, shrimp, and octopus without the fuss or frills. For around $5, you get a fresh seafood feast that would cost you about $20 back in the US. But Merida's affordability isn't limited to apartments and seafood. Healthcare here is equally as accessible. Healthcare is understandably the #1 concern I hear from potential expats. And here's what surprised me. Merida's healthcare system is impressive and affordable. As a legal resident, expats under 60 get access to IMSS, Mexico's public healthcare system, for about $700 annually. But even paying out of pocket for doctor's visits or tests don't break the bank. I've had dental cleanings here and they range about $40 to $50. X-rays range between $10 and $80, depending on how complex they are. And this is no joke, you can actually find doctor visits here as cheap as $2.50. And if you need to see a specialist, surprise, you can actually get an appointment within days, not like the weeks or months it might take you to get an appointment in the US or Canada. And doctors here in Mexico will even share their personal phone numbers and WhatsApp so you can easily communicate with them, which is absolutely unheard of back home. Here's another insider tip. Mexico's public health care does have some drawbacks. As I previously mentioned, you need to be a legal resident. Additionally, many pre-existing conditions are not covered. If you come to Mexico with a chronic condition like diabetes or a heart condition, IMSS just probably isn't for you. Now, what many expats do is they'll purchase an additional international private medical insurance to get complete coverage. And you can get several free quotes from different international insurers using this link down below. But to give you an idea, me as a 51-year-old male, my comprehensive worldwide coverage is roughly $100 a month, and that's about a 1/5 of what I pay in the States for worse coverage. If you're planning to stay in Merida and hold a strong passport, here's some useful information for you. Citizens of more than 60 countries, along with permanent residents of about 34 other countries, can visit Mexico as a tourist and stay up to 180 days without needing a visa. And good news, US and most European countries are on this goodie list. But here's the catch. The phrase is up to, and that's a key term because the immigration officer at the border has the final say on how long you're allowed to stay here. And they have lately become much more strict. Instead of automatically granting an immediate maximum 180 days, many tourists are coming in and they're only getting a 30 or 90-day stamp. And here's another insider tip. It's highly advisable to have a return or onward ticket booked before entering Mexico. If you don't have a fixed or departure date yet, you can check out my article below. I go over like 10 ways to prove you have onward travel. And while most immigration officers don't always require a return ticket, the Mexican Embassy website recommends you have one. So I like to be better safe than sorry. For stays beyond 6 months, temporary or permanent resident visas are available. And Mexico grants temporary residency for up to 4 years, and they'll even grant permanent residency. But longer-term visas require you to show you have enough income or savings to support yourself in Mexico. And these financial requirements vary depending on the consulate you use. But you can count on them being roughly, like $4,000 a month in income or roughly having $70,000 in savings. But the key thing to remember is you must apply at the Mexican consulate outside of Mexico. If you're already here in Merida, you're going to need to leave the country to apply. And if you want more tips like these, join our Expat Insights Facebook group for your insider's guide to living abroad. Our community is where you connect, share, and discuss real expat life overseas. No clickbait videos or filtered Instagram posts here, just unbiased truth from people who made the leap. Click below to join, because life's too short to wonder, what if? Expats in Mexico get loads of grief for not knowing how to speak Spanish. And well, I get it. After a year here, mine is terrible. But I can survive, and that's what matters when you're starting out. I can order food, ask for directions, and sure, learning Spanish is hard, but at least I can understand what I'm gonna eat and what I need to pay when I see a menu that shows me something like this. Imagine being in countries like Egypt, India, or Cambodia. These are places I've lived, and expats can get hit with completely unfamiliar languages. You'll see things like the letters being different, the alphabet being different, even numbers not being written the same. Now, what do you do when the restaurant only shows something like this, or this, or this, or this on the menu? Or how about instead of saying 100 Mexican pesos, which is roughly $5 US, the bill you get from the restaurant shows anything like this over here? I mean, what are you going to do with those numbers? Yeah, good luck. At least Spanish is considered an easy language. It takes an estimated 30 weeks or roughly 690 class hours to reach conversational fluency. Now, contrast this with trying to learn Thai, Croatian, or even something like Japanese or Korean. You can find Spanish classes in Merida for as low as about $5 a class, or there are actually several language exchanges at cafes around town or at the Merida English Library, which are low cost or some are even free. But it's not just the language. Sometimes I tell folks living in Merida is like having expat training wheels. Merida is a much easier transition for Americans moving abroad than other places I've lived. I mean, compared to cities in other countries, Merida has so much in common with the US, which makes living here the best of both worlds. I mean, you can get authentic Mexican experiences when you want them, yet you have familiar comforts when you need them. I'll give you a couple of examples. There are some large Mexican grocery chains here. They're called Chedraui and Soriana, but they coexist with some familiar American retailers. I mean, you're going to find a Costco here, a Sam's Club, a Home Depot. There's even a Walmart here. And these stores stock the same identical products as what you find in the US. But they'll also offer local alternatives, and you'll get those for better prices. I mean, you'll even find a Dairy Queen located on the Zocalo here for those days when you are fiending for a Reese's Peanut Butter Blizzard. I'm going to give you a warning though. While having familiar US brands and products available are great, imported goods can quickly burn through your budget. Because I like to tell folks that expat life is remarkably cheap, but imported life, that can get shockingly expensive. Another insider tip for convenience or laziness, I'm not going to judge. You can order groceries on apps like Didi, Rappi, and Uber, and they're going to have everything delivered to your door for something like a $2 delivery fee. It's incredibly convenient. I use it all the time. Digital services here work just as you'd expect too. There's high-speed internet. There's about I get 100 megabits per second. It's available in most neighborhoods here, and it's extremely affordable. This makes remote work or staying connected to family through video calls simply easy. The streaming services like Netflix, Disney Plus, there's even Amazon Prime here. They all work perfectly, though you may need a VPN to get some of the US specific content. And online shopping has made expat life in Merida even easier. Amazon's like 450 million products are available to be delivered here, so you get access to all your favorite stuff without missing a beat. But if you don't want to support that Bezos empire, Mercado Libre brings its massive Mexican marketplace directly to your door. And many of these sellers will offer everything from craft goods to international essentials, and they can give you same day or even next day delivery to most of the neighborhoods in Merida. Healthcare access may be one of the most welcome surprises for American expats. Pharmacies like Farmacias Similares and Farmacias del Oro, they'll stock most of the medications at a fraction of the prices in the US, and you can get these without a prescription. And you'll find familiar over-the-counter brands or their Mexican equivalents for virtually any common illness you may get. This perfect balance is what makes Merida special for newcomers. I mean, you don't have to choose between convenience and a touch of culture. You're going to experience both simultaneously living here. I mean, think of it as having an authentic Mexican experience, but with having the like US safety net. After a morning exploring centuries-old markets, you can order supplies for tomorrow's cenotes adventure, all while living in your colonial-style home in Centro Histórico. And since we're talking about culture, one of my favorite parts of Merida culture is the food. Did you know that the Yucatan was briefly an independent republic? Well, this explains why Merida's culture feels completely different from what most people expect of Mexican culture. The Yucatan's geographic isolation from central Mexico, well, it created something special here. There's a culinary fusion of Mayan, Spanish, and Caribbean influences that feels completely different from other Mexican regions. And you're going to notice that difference immediately, especially in the food. Forget your basic tacos. Yucatan cuisine stands apart with unique flavors you're not going to find in other parts of Mexico. Conchinita pibil is kind of a slow roasted pork marinated with achote and sprinkled with bitter orange, and then it's wrapped in a banana leaf and actually cooked underground. It's probably the most famous dish here. But there's also salubutes, relleno negro, which is a kind of a thicker deep fried corn tortilla, and it's topped with stewed turkey, hard-boiled eggs, and really covered with this charred, roasted pumpkin seed sauce. And then there's sopa de lima, which is a chicken soup, and it has kind of really this distinctive lime flavor that's ideal for hot days. And I can't forget my favorite drink, which is chaya. It's a traditional drink made from the leaves of a chaya plant, which is also known as Mexican spinach. When I tell friends I'm living in Merida, one of their first questions is always around safety. And it's easy to understand why when the US news tends to focus on cartel violence and border issues. But long term expats here in Mexico always feel that the country is less dangerous than the US. And safety always ends up with kind of these heated debates and polarizing views whenever you go online. But for most of Mexico, the reality is really somewhere in the middle between the sensationalized news headlines and those like rosy pictures painted by most expats. But Merida, well, it completely flips that narrative upside down. And that's exactly why it tops my list for reasons why expats should move to Merida. Merida is known for its exceptional safety. It's earned its place as the most peaceful city in Mexico. And Merida, it's the capital of the Yucatan state, which is what the US State Department's considered the safest state in Mexico. Yucatan has a crime rate, it's actually, I think, something like 90% lower than the country's average. And Merida isn't just the safest city in Mexico, it ranks as the second safest city in all of the Americas. And here is something many expats overlook until they've actually lived abroad. Time zone alignment matters tremendously for your quality of life. And Merida shares the same time zone as US Central Time. And this creates seamless connectivity with most US cities. This means you can watch Sunday night football live, you can participate in family calls during normal hours. You're not going to have these middle of the night alarms set because you have a work meeting. You can stay connected without all these scheduling headaches due to time zones. I mean, I've had friends who moved to the Philippines or Portugal who struggle with this daily. They had to plan family calls at really weird hours, or they end up missing kind of live events, like Mother's Day that happened just a couple weekends ago. And meanwhile, I'm enjoying real time connection without all this jet lag. And European connections work here too. Morning calls in Merida align perfectly with European afternoons, so there's no 3 a.m. wake up calls required. My partner Sandra, who works abroad, she schedules her family calls around noon, which lands around 7 or 8 p.m. for relatives in Austria, which is those prime evening hours where everyone's already relaxed and available. Imagine having world-class beaches, ancient Mayan ruins, and hidden cenotes, all within an easy day trip from your home base. That's exactly what expat gets when they're moving to Merida. The Yucatan Peninsula makes the city ideal as a hub for exploring some of Mexico's most spectacular natural and historical sites. We have Gulf Coast beaches here that are incredibly accessible from Merida. Puerto Progreso is kind of this laid back beach town. It's just 45 minutes away by car or bus. And you can't forget about the world famous archaeological sites. If you're even a little bit into history, the ancient Mesoamerican ruins near Merida are impressive. Chichen Itza, you've probably heard of. It's one of the new seven wonders of the world. But Oxmal, which is another UNESCO listed archaeological site, is only about an hour-ish from Merida. It's closer, less crowded, and it's free for foreign residents on Sundays. Merida's central Yucatan location also allows you to visit designated Pueblo Magicos like Izamal and Valladolid, and they're only about 1 or 2 hours away. A Merida home base means your weekends can be filled with new adventures without exhausting travel. Many expats here enjoy morning swims in one of those cool, refreshing cenotes, followed by an amazing lunch in one of the Pueblo Magicos, and they can still get back home to Merida in time for dinner. For longer getaways, Merida's International Airport connects nonstop to roughly 19 cities in about 4 different countries, including major US cities like Miami, Houston, and Dallas. But if you need more international flights, Cancun, which has flights to about 28 countries, is just a 5-hour air-conditioned bus ride away. Even after years of living in Merida, expats keep discovering new places to explore. Your Merida home base provides literally years of exploration possibilities in every direction outside of town. Remember when I mentioned Merida's affordable cost of living earlier? And here's what. I didn't even count the amazing free entertainment available every week that you can enjoy without spending a peso. Merida is the 2-time cultural capital of the Americas, and it offers an incredible calendar of no or low cost events. You can take a free walking tour through the historical city center. All you have to do is tip a guide. You can catch weekly performances and these kind of unique traditional dances that they have here at the main square every week. They also have these no-cost art exhibits you can watch. And there's even a reenactment of an ancient Mayan ball game. It's called Pok to Pok. And fun fact, legend has it that the original game was played with a flaming human head. One of my personal faves is the Thursday Expat Meetup. Entry won't cost you anything, and you can join in on some live music, dancing, or if you have the courage, get up there for some karaoke. And all you have to do is cover your own drinks and food. It's the perfect setting to connect with others and start feeling at home in Merida. Merida is a up-and-coming expat destination. And with all these benefits, it's no wonder Merida's population has grown about 20% over the last decade. They're attracting both international expats and even Mexicans from other states around the country. Now, which of these 10 reasons speaks to you the most? Is it the beautiful cenotes, the uncrowded beaches, the ancient Mayan ruins, that distinctive Yucatecan food, or maybe it's the affordable cost of living? If you're considering moving to Merida, or if you have any questions about expat life in Mexico, let me know in the comments. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like and subscribe button for more expat insights. Until then, hasta luego from Mexico.